is in the middle. Checks back against Carter and scores. That is atypical for the Amina Margot.
Quickly gets it back again. Oh, what a goal! Well, that sums up her season. The Gunners are WSL champions.
It was a bit of a South Coast slumber, but Arsenal were saved by their Super Swede. Welcome to the Vic Akers Wonderland podcast. I'm Adam Salter, and once again, I'm joined by my conspirator-in-chief, Matt, the magnificent Matt. How are you about recovered from last night's dramatic finale at the St Mary's?
Oh, it was fantastic, and it's quite funny, actually. This is the third time I've gone to see Arsenal play at St Mary's, and all three times they haven't lost, so that's a bit of a good omen.
It is a good omen because most of the times I've seen this, and this is the men's side, play at St Mary's, we've lost. So clearly we need to get you going. Well, a bit late now, they've been relegated, the men's team, but we needed you to have been there more often, clearly. Yes, Arsenal women did indeed play at St Mary's on the South Coast against Southampton. Myself and Matt were both there. It was, I think we can all agree, a good evening all round and a good result, if maybe not the performance we wanted. The occasion certainly lived up to it, and we're looking forward to diving in and dissecting that. But before we begin, just a quick question for you, Matt. As you know, Mary-Anne Spacey-Kell is, of course, the manager of Southampton, Arsenal legend, which had me wondering, if you could pick any current Arsenal player to go into management when they retire, who would you have?
Current player?
In the team at the moment, yeah. Otherwise, you could just say Casey Stoney or Kelly Smith and cheat. So I was saying, which one currently do you think when retire will make a great manager?
I think Viv's got the brain for it.
Yeah.
But I know Katie's already doing her coaching badges. So there's an option as well. You also got Louise Quinn. I think Louise Quinn and Rashida have also done theirs. So there's a few Arsenal players that are former that could do it. But I think Katie has. I know it sounds really weird, but she'll be like very Roy Keane. She won't take no.
Oh, I can imagine her giving the full Mike Bassett half time. Where's if you don't want to wear the shirt, take it off. There's thousands of kids out there. Where's your bottle? I could certainly imagine Katie McCabe going very sort of gung home and changing. I was thinking Viv as well. I think Viv is definitely the most football intelligent wise, one of the more intellectual, one of the most intellectual players I've seen on the team. I think she would know. She'll have a good knowledge of the game. My feeling is a lot of the players are quite young, so it's maybe difficult to gauge. So I'm looking towards the experience side. Look at Kim Little. I don't know. I think she might be. She's certainly a leader. Maybe a bit quieter, but certainly, such an uber talented player. I'd love to see how she would cope with managing and having driving the standards. Being the ex-captain.
I wouldn't be surprised if they have something lined up for her. Either it's just coaching the academy side, or maybe it might be something to do with the academy, or maybe she might do something more, a bit like Jen, because Jen's doing some of the marketing stuff at the moment. So
she is, and she's doing podcasting as well, much like us. I do hope they have got something lined up for Kim. I mean, it's not a nice thought, the idea of Kim retiring, but that day shall come, and I hope we don't end up losing her like we did with the likes of Jane Ludlow going to Man City. We want to keep hold of that talent, and talent that is embedded within the Arsenal history. So maybe she'll be the next Arsenal manager, or maybe she'll be a Kelly Smith and be a coach on the sidelines. But I think there's plenty of manager material in that team, and it'd be interesting to see in 10 years' time if any of them decide to take that next step. Before we get into the game, and I'm sure we're raring to go through, there has been a few news items I want to get through. You may have heard in the previous pod we spoke about NewCo. This is sort of this organisation that's looking to take over the WSL and the Women's Championship. There was a bit of a sort of fallout just before we went on air about the fact that the Championship clubs weren't happy with the agreement and had agreed not to sign. Well, as it turns out, it's been a U-turn since we did that pod recording, and they've now agreed to the T's and C's, and it sounds like it is all systems go. This is according to Tom Gower of the Telegraph. Apparently, it will be created in the coming weeks, and hopefully, the two-tier system with the Championship and the WSL will hopefully be retained. So, all good news there. It sounds like the FA are ready to hand over the keys and leave it a full tank, and mind don't scratch the bodywork. So good news for the women's football. Hopefully that's good news for the league. Bit more money, bigger brand takeover. So be as Matt says, intriguing. Very intriguing to see what comes of that. But it's great to see that the wheels are going there. That hasn't been stuck in negotiations and holding holding the process back.
Dive in onto Nuco a little bit more, find out what their interests are.
Yeah, it's very much a growing story at the moment, and I'm not sure how much. I think Nuco is like one of these sort of holding titles. It's not going to be called the Nuco League, no. But
it's more of a case of, in the past there have been leagues. I think the NWSL previously had a spell where they had a company take over it, and then a couple of years later it folded because there wasn't enough money involved. So they need to make sure they're handing the keys properly over to someone that can keep it and make it sustainable. There's no point in the first, say it's suitable for the next 5 years, and then it takes a complete nosedive because the fund's not there, and say half the players aren't there anymore.
We need to make sure this is a league that has the football in mind and not personal desires for wealth to take money out of the game. We need to make sure that they are firmly behind growing this sport, because the more it grows, the more money it will generate, and that will keep everyone happy. In other news, more closely related to Arsenal, 50,000 tickets have been sold. Well done, everyone. That is for the Chelsea game at Emirates Stadium in, I believe, 2 weeks' time. So once you've all enjoyed or endured the international break and the players are back, first game up on the roster is, of course, a home game at Emirates Stadium against Chelsea. For me, this is the worst game of the season. It is because it's like North London derbies. You can't lose this game. And I know we drew it last season. That felt like a loss in the manner in which the result got away from us. But we won the Conti Cup, so maybe things do even out. But 50,000 tickets for the Emirates Stadium, Matt, it's brilliant news. They're going for a sellout, and it looks like it could be on the cards with 2 weeks to go.
I wouldn't be surprised if it is sold out. I mean, this is going to be one of the ones close to Christmas, so I imagine it's going to be on people's Christmas lists to try and get to the game, or maybe it'll be a tester. But we've seen record crowd attendances every time. Well, not every time at the moment, but there have been high attendances figures. Even when it comes to the Champions League group stage, it's been higher than some of the other teams. I'm not going to dig anyone out in particular, just letting people know that there is a higher attendance at their Emirates than some other teams. It's not on them. It's about how you market them. So there is questions in the air, left, right, and centre. But that's something I'm going to lean on a bit later. Don't worry, Matt. But what I find interesting with this is that there hasn't been that big, heavy marketing push. All we've had is some of the players, doing a little piece of video, thanking the fans for hitting 30,000, 40,000. The recent one was Beth Mead at St Mary's. Congratulating fans hitting 50,000 tickets. Can't wait to see the 60,000 one, should that happen. I think it just shows how far Arsenal evolved, that they don't need to now rely on the heavy marketing. They've sort of grown up beyond that. And, it's the case of, they have built it, and now the people are coming. We don't have to sort of, plead with the fan. I mean, I used to, like the last 2 seasons, I was putting up, updates saying, come on, we're at this point. We've sold out the East Bank, the North Bank, what we call clock end, whatever they're called. We got the lower tiers done, the upper tiers up. We're getting close. These are the seats are left. It's just happening anyway now, which is fantastic for us. Yeah, and the greatest thing that we can carry on is keep doing this as much as possible. If we keep sending it out, when the big teams come in, no offense to Liverpool and Villa, Villa are a very good team, and Liverpool are getting there. Let's just say that.
I'm happy with Liverpool this season. I think they've done themselves justice so far.
They'll be further up the league than they were last year. But it's when you think of games in the past, Liverpool, Arsenal, or Villa, Arsenal, they're not ones that would automatically bring the attendance as much
Yeah,
as
I know
like
what I
a
mean. With women's
Chelsea.
football, they're not going to bring the fans to the stadium because the
Yeah.
games you're looking out for are Man United, Spurs for obvious reasons, Man United because of the history with obviously the men's team, and Chelsea because of the derby. And it's obviously, hopefully this weekend pending, it will be first versus second. Touch wood, cross fingers, etc. So I think it's great news. 50,000, I'd love it. In the words of Kegan Geegan, I'd love it if we got 60,000. An attendance similar to Wolfsburg. We all know the Wolfsburg game, didn't end the way it did, but it was such an amazing occasion, an amazing moment in time, as maybe Peter Drury would say. I wouldn't change anything from that game. And seeing how Barcelona did Wolfsburg in the final, I'm quite glad maybe things did go that way. Final bit of news: Millie Bright has been ruled out for England with a knee injury. I believe it's a recurrence of the knee injury that held her up last season. So 1 Millie has gone, but 1 Millie has come back, and that is has been replaced rather for a first-time in squad, Millie Turner of Manchester United. So yeah, Millie out, Millie in. But I think the big news is, Matt, if this is Millie Bright's out, surely this means Lotte Wubben-Moy. This is her moment.
It's got to be, and it feels really bad. I'm to be honest, I'm not a huge fan of Millie Turner, but she must have done something to really impress Serena.
Scored a good goal. She scored a good goal recently, and knows how to head a goal in at the Emirates Stadium.
Hopefully in the other end next time.
Now, that has happened before.
But yeah, in all seriousness, that's a big blow for England because essentially that means your wall has gone. I don't see Millie Turner as one that's going to block everything. When I think back to last weekend, Lotte went out of her way to make what game was it? The one where she made that slide tackle. I think it was against Leicester. Yeah, the slide tackle against Leicester.
Oh yeah.
And she made that goal, and she celebrated it almost like she'd scored against Wolfsburg again. And I don't really see that type of thing with Millie Turner. I think she just sort of brews across the pitch and just casually goes about with her business. She's more of a 6 out of 7 out player than Lotte. Lotte will do the part. She'll do the Leah Williamson role. She'll pass it left, right, and centre. I'm curious about who's going to partner who now.
I think it's not so much partnerships. I'm wondering about formation. I wouldn't be surprised if Serena goes for a back three. And because you lost Leah and Millie, and she'll just go, I don't fully trust his defence. I think we're likely to have Jess Carter and Niamh Charles, two defenders who play over the back three for Chelsea. That's the formation they know. And Alex Greenwood, I wouldn't be surprised if Serena conceded, said, well, we'll go more defensive because she doesn't have Leah and Millie Bright. But I
would imagine that Alex would start. Alex would be the starting centre back, and then it's whoever else if she did decide to. Yeah. But it's who's going to be the other two. You'd imagine Jess and Niamh probably most likely starting.
Yeah.
But it's a case of where, because that left, you could put one of them in the left wing back role.
Well, that's sort of the. We'll find out, I suppose, in about a week's time when we hit the international break.
Yes, because next Saturday is the game, I believe. The
1st of December is the Netherlands game. So we've got Netherlands and we've got Scotland.
Yeah, so next Saturday.
Netherlands game at Wembley, the attendance is looking very strong. I think they did another update recently. So you haven't got a ticket yet. Do try and get your hands on one. Let's try and pack out Wembley. And the team are going to need us because we know we're on the back foot in that group at the moment after the Belgian game. So give it some welly, and let's hope the team can get the result we need. And that's the news. So there was a game Thursday night. Conti Cup action, the only continental cup that matters. Southampton versus Arsenal, a trip to the south coast for the team, for me, for Matt. For Matt, it was a bit of a homecoming because, as you told me the other night, you actually went to university in Southampton and have a lot of love for the city. So Southampton, we had the lovely Jude in the pod who very beautifully and passionately described the amazing work Southampton done with their women's team, and not just the club but the fans as well. and I didn't really know what to expect. I knew the game was at St Mary's, but I've been to some of these games at bigger stadiums, and it's a couple of fans. I think we were both blown away by what we saw. I was absolutely amazed by what Southampton doing. But before I get to my perspective, what was your sort of review of the experience of going down to watch Southampton play?
Well, I was just remembering going through the tunnel leading up to the stadium and just walking towards the bridge and everything, and it just brought back so many memories. I've been to so many games at that stadium. One of my favourite games actually of Southampton was actually the Inter Milan game a couple of years. Oh, this would have been 2016. Yeah, 2016.
Yeah.
And just to bring it short, Icardi scored one, then Van Dijk decided, right, okay, so this, I'm going to go up the other end and do something. And he scored one, and then Minamino scored an own goal for Inter, and Southampton took the 3 points in their Europa League. But it was a fantastic game. But it's those sorts of memories I remember. Again, I was talking to Adam off air. I've been to see Arsenal at St Mary's twice. Southampton losing that one 5-0 in the FA Cup, and it was their own fault. They put the academy goalkeeper in.
Yeah, they put a scratch team out because they had the eye on the League Cup. I think they're the League Cup that season.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they obviously played a weekend side, which we were very grateful for.
And then it was the 1-1 draw where Southampton scored first. They could have easily won that one, and then at the very end, Giroud scored an equaliser.
His last Arsenal goal was in that game. That was his last ever goal for Arsenal. I believe was that header against Southampton. They did give us a bit of battering that day, but we were not great that season, so I'm not surprised.
But just going up to that stage and just fills you up with those memories and go, it kind of hypes you up in a way. It's not like when you go to the Emirates, you're like, I'm looking forward to the game. I'm looking forward to the game. Well, you don't think back to those sorts of memories or anything like that. It's just you go in and you go into the game. That's all you concentrate on. You're going on to the current game. You're like in a couple of weeks' time, you're just going to be focusing on the game against Chelsea. You won't be focusing on the last time out against Villa or whatever. But going around the ground, it brought a lot of memories back as well. The brass bands that were outside playing Saints Go Marching and everything like that. For those that don't know, that is the original song of Southampton. It's not a song that everyone sings. The only reason other teams sing it is because they've stolen it from Southampton. So the likes of your
Spurs
and Man United as well.
And Man United, yeah.
So basically, they're a bunch of. There's a reason I call them song stealers. They literally stole the song away from them. But yeah, there is no better feeling than I think going in there, and when you hear the fans sing them all in that chorus, Saints Go Marching In, it is their version of the Yellow Wall, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. No, I quite liked it because it meant that I thought that, this is nice. They're honouring Steph Catley. I thought it was a really nice touch of them to play Steph Catley's chant, to be honest. So I do jest. But I love I love brass bands anyway. So when I was walking up the streets and hearing the brass band in the distance, and then the mascots out, it was a really good sort of positive. It felt like a match day. I mean, this is the mad thing. I mean, I say it like it's a unique thing, but Southampton are a championship side. It's a Conti Cup game, and yet it felt. I was speaking to our good friend Brian, and I said, not just of the experience, but obviously the game, as we're going to get to in a minute, it felt like a WSL game. It felt like the build-up, the atmosphere in the game, the game itself, how competitive it was. I didn't feel like I was in a cup game against a lesser opponent. I felt like I was at a WSL match at a men's stadium, and that's credit to the team and the club for what they did. So yeah, loved that. Loved the build-up. Loved the pyrotechnics and the light show, and I was sat behind, I don't know which goal it is. I don't know what the ends are at Southampton, so I do apologise. But we were in block 40, the away fans.
Yeah, so we were in the northern end, which is essentially where Usually, well, a couple further along would have the away section, and that would be where most fans sit for those sorts of things. But for this one, they pushed us further towards the Southampton fans, which I think actually benefited them in a way because
It did.
the forwards and backwards from both fans
There was a lot
fantastic.
of to and fro. There was a lot of to and fro between certain high-profile members of the red and white. We know who they are, and it was great. There was a lot of good banter between the two sides. Nothing nasty, all taken in good spirit. But there was a whole. It would have been if we were in the North Bank, so it was the west side. The west stand was packed, and I was like, wow, that's it was obviously it wasn't all full sides, but I wasn't expecting that. But I also wasn't expecting a whole wall of fans cheering the team on, and they cheered their team on. I mean, when the ball was coming down our end of the pitch in that first half, and they were getting the crosses in, they were making themselves heard, and it was like, right, this is a proper cup tie. This isn't like going away to London Bees or London City Lionesses like maybe previous cup ties. We're in for a proper tussle. So let's quickly go over the team news. I don't know if there was anything here that caught you out at all, Matt. I'm not going to do the Arsenal tradition of reading in numerical order because that's wrong. Instead, I'm going to go for the proper way of going from back to front. So Sab's in goal, which I think we all expected. She's now back after her absence against Brighton. So great to have Sabs back in goal. Back four, Catley on the left, Moritz on the right. No dramas. Kadina making a rare start. The lesser spotted Kadina, but she was starting at left centre back alongside Yen Beattie. We later heard from Jonas that he'd actually taken the decision to deliberately take Lottie out of the match they scored together. She has played a lot of games, and I think there maybe is an element of protection there, considering with the England games coming up. And I mean, if Lottie Wilmot ruled out for England, we're in major trouble. So she's got a rest. She's got the night off. Instead, it was Yen Beattie, who very experienced, though. For me, is she going to be playing player in a back five, not in a back four? I don't think she's do that well anymore. However, as it's a Conti Cup game against Championship side, my feeling was we could probably get away with it. A midfield two of Walty and Cool, with Frida as the 10, and a front three of Hurtig and Lacasse either side of Russo. I think it was a heavily rotated side, but there wasn't anything I thought would cause us any issues. I thought it was a pretty straightforward pick. Did you have any issues with it at all, Matt?
No, I didn't. I think what probably caught my eye was probably the fact that Chloe was starting again. And no offense to Chloe.
Did you think Mead was starting?
I was probably thinking that if Beth's not playing in this one, then she's playing against West Ham.
Yeah.
Which is probably the best thing, really, considering that last time we played West Ham, and I know it was away and it all went to pot with that 0-0, and Mackenzie Arnold decided to have a day and a half. It's just one of those things that you think, okay, but I mean, fair play to Chloe because she was fantastic in the game.
She was.
She's been brilliant for us, and she's really, really enjoying herself. You can tell that on the pitch and afterwards, and when she's talking to the fans or doing photos and things like that. But just during this game, there was some players that caught my eyes for the wrong reasons, and some of them caught a catching for the right, just on the wrong reasons. I think Leia was a bit nervy.
Velty?
No, Katina.
Oh, I was going to say
Leia Kadina.
You're gonna have to specify.
Just because she was going in. I know she said she's aggressive, but sometimes she was over aggressive and she was giving away silly fouls. And I think if she doesn't calm down, sooner or later that ref's going to pull a card out. And then I look at someone like Leah, captain for the night, Velty. I honestly think that she felt really out of place because every couple of minutes she just sort of looked around and was almost like sighing or looked very agitated. And I don't know if it was down to Southampton doing a really good job of closing her down, or just she was not happy with how her teammates were not helping her in any way.
I have to be brutally honest because I, like all the other fans, love Leah Velty, brilliant defensive midfielder. But there was a moment in the game, and it was sort of a half sort of joke of the matter, but I turned to Brian and I said, I thought Leah Velty never gave the ball away. But there was a moment on the edge of our box when she did just that. And I think there was another
Yeah.
one where she actually sived down. I think it was right at the end of the first half. She actually sived down one of their players right into the box and conceded a very dangerous free kick.
Mhm.
I think you're right. I don't think she had the greatest game. She only played, I think it was the first half or so, wasn't it? Or first
Yeah,
60 minutes.
I believe she went off for Katie.
Okay, it was Cooney Cross, I think it
Yeah,
was in the end.
sorry, yes. Pyro came on.
Yeah, so she only got about 60 minutes. So and we know that she's coming back from an injury, and maybe that she's not maybe fully up to speed. So
I'm happy for her to be part of these sort of games and sort of have a one-off performance. Because if and with the injuries, that's bound to happen. I mean, it's like Beth, isn't it? She's not getting the goals just yet.
not
But
quite, but she's close.
How many times has she hit the cross? Not the cross, but hit the bar in the last couple of games.
Post, yeah.
It's so many chances. It's going to happen.
Yeah.
It's just a case of when it's going to happen. It's just time and everything. And it's the same for Leia. I think Leia's just getting back up to speed. So this season's going to be a sort of like a free pass. Like how much can she get away? And the next season is going to be the kick on.
What I would say is I thought Cool looked really good.
Yes, again.
She just some of the touches, some of the spins in that midfield. You can tell she's young, she's raw, and there's some moments where I think the moment was there for her. She didn't quite get the right pass in, and I thought, if you just seen it, because we can see it from where we are, and I just think, the shot was on there, or the pass inside, get the fullback in. But some of I just still say some of those touches in the centre of the park, she is looking very, very good. Obviously, I think when we'll talk about the West Ham game a bit later. And I think in that game, I think Kyra Cooney-Cross and Palova will probably start that 1 and a 2, unless Kim Little is fully fit to start. And if then, I think she'll probably go off the bench.
You know what? You just remind me. Victoria was also.
There was there was a gaff. There was a gaff. I don't know if people noticed this. There was a gaff in the team sheet announcement on Twitter that Palova's name was absent on the graphic, but there was an update tweet a bit later. So just a correction. Palova is also in the team as well. It didn't matter in the end because she was never brought on, so it was all became relevant. But she was on the bench for this particular one. I think Cooley is brewing nicely. And I think this Conti Cup is the perfect competition for her, and she's getting to play. And she's not playing like Leeds United last season, the FA Cup, which was a bit of a silly sort. It was a walkover, sadly. These are really competitive games. These are proper. I mean, I think this is the trade-off: is you lose this. I know people coming in and joking, saying, in the Conti Cup group stage, it's like it's getting the boot. What do they call it? The phony prize, the wooden spoon. It's the because we failed. We're in the Conti Cup group stage, but this is the benefit of the Conti Cup group stage because it's, despite what people say, especially when you're playing a team like Southampton, who's a league lower, it's very competitive, and this will push you and give you better experience, match day experience, a game like this, than playing, I don't know, Leeds United at home in the FA Cup in the early rounds. But this for me was a brilliant game for Cool. Absolutely, the level she needs to play at to learn a trade, and I thought she did splendidly well. Unfortunately, the same could be said for the rest of the team because I think we can probably be honest, it was a pretty bad first half. Did not do anywhere near the level, playing anywhere near the level we could. There was only really one or two chances. The best one was Russo, the sort of spin and a volley that Southampton did very well to block, ran out and blocked it. And I think had an effort that was straight at the keeper. I think we can all agree Southampton were amazing.
Yes.
I thought Southampton were really on the team, played so well in that first half. Defensively, absolute top. Didn't give Arsenal a sniff, and they were a threat of their own as well. There was an overhead volley that just went wide out from a corner kick routine. And there was a moment. I think there was a mistake. There was a mistake in midfield, a turnover, and they had the ball in on the our left, their right. Ball came in. Jem beat it to get over and get a block in. It was there was a few last ditch moments at times, and Sabrina had to have her wits about her. They made things very, very difficult for us. I heard a few people saying pretty much, this will be another, it's the lesser team in the group. We'll get plenty of goals here. I'm thinking, no, you won't. The days of 5-0 versus Charlton and 9-0 versus London Bees or whoever it is. No, we are moving beyond that. These teams are a lot better now. They're better run, they're better managed, better coached. I say again, we said it before, Marianne Spacey-Cowell's done brilliant stuff with this team, and it showed on the night. So
this way, this could be a WSL fixture potentially next season or in 2
100%,
seasons.
100%. I say that I said this on Twitter when I left the ground. In 5 years' time, I expect Southampton to either be in the WSL or have been in the WSL. Don't know if they'll stay around, but I'm confident that we will see a promotion. It could even be the season because I think they're only 1 or 2 points off the top. The top three,
Yes,
very tight.
Sunderland are top at the moment, and I think they've only just lost their unbeaten run at the moment. But it is so tight up there; you just don't know what's going to happen.
No.
And it's great to have one team get promoted, but you need something
the
else.
league needs expanding. I mean, this is one of the things I think Jonas said. He's talked to I think Marianne about this, and he was saying this league needs expanding.
Both of them do.
Both of them do.
I would love let's say West Ham finished second in the league. I'd love for them to have a playoff against like the second in the league, and then it's a fight out for who goes into the WSL next season.
I think a second bottom relegation playoff, because it adds extra bit of jeopardy to the game. I mean, you were telling me we're talking about some of the we're going to talk about the weekend matches later on. You were telling me off air, you only need about, was it 11 points? You were talking about Bristol City, and we were saying 11 points. At that point, you can just put the handbrake on and cruise the rest of the season. And so many teams do that, and it ruins the league. That once you're safe and you know you're not going to top 4, you can just cruise because there is no incentive. Well, that would raise the incentive. So I think that's a cracking idea, and it has been mooted by others before. I think I've seen a lot on the social media, people saying that will be a good idea, but never know. Maybe new co will lead to new changes, and an expanded league would not go amiss. So half time, it's 0-0. I think we're all a bit sort of disappointed, but good news. Arsenal are going to be shooting towards us in the second half, so hopefully we'll see plenty of goals. A few half-time subs. There was a controversial one in here. So Lagardina came off. Amanda Ilestedt came on. I thought, fair enough. Hasn't had many matchday minutes. 45, good run of the legs. Maybe not been, you were saying you were a bit disappointed there. Maybe wasn't as maybe secure and as we'd hoped, but I thought fair enough, 45 minutes. Hopefully just get a bit more experience as the season progresses, maybe in the next round. But subbing off Russo for Caitlin Ford, which I had my eyebrows raised because my feelings of Ford is that she's a left winger. She's not a centre forward. Please stop playing her as a centre forward because she's not a centre forward. We should add Stina was not on the bench. I think there was talk of her maybe having a knock.
She's got a little niggle, isn't she? But they're taking their precautions, but we don't know whether or not she's going to be available for the weekend.
That's great. We can do that because we've got the depth. But I felt this was a mistake by Jonas to take Russo off this soon. And having taken her off, maybe not bring. I think if he was going to do that, he should have brought on Miedema in her place because she is a recognised centre forward. She can play the role. I just thought bringing Ford on, for me, I thought was a mistake. But I don't know what your thought was.
It was really odd because I was trying to see who had gone off, because you can see Amanda quite clearly when she came on. And then I was like, where's Alessia? I don't see Alessia. And because unfortunately, the PA announcer, he went a bit quiet when he was doing our substitutes, if you didn't notice.
Was he whispering them?
It just felt like
Arsenal,
I was like,
number 23. Replaced by
I didn't seem to get. I don't know if it was just me, but I didn't seem to catch some of the names that he was calling. So when Caitlin came on, I was wondering who was going to go. Where was she playing? Because you got Lena, who was playing on the left at that point, and Chloe on the right. So I thought, well, okay, Chloe's going to go in out front, and then Caitlin's going to go on the right because Lena's on the left. But Caitlin can't really play on the right.
No, she
which
can't.
Is
the strange thing about all of this is that on 61 minutes around that time, Hurtig, who was operating on the left in this game, was subbed off, and Miedema was brought on for her. Miedema went central and Ford went on the left. And I was like, for those 15 minutes, Arsenal did. I don't know. I think Jonas got that one wrong, and he got it right eventually. But it was 50.
Lena actually stayed on for a little bit longer. Actually, I think she actually finished the whole game. I think you mean Chloe.
I've got it on the sports. 60 minutes. Hurtig came off, and then McCabe came on for Lacasse a bit later on in the game.
Yeah, but for Frida, it was Lena's pass that got deflected, And
Oh
went
yeah. But Viv, we're jumping ahead a bit here.
Yeah,
But
that's why I was a bit confused. I was like,
no, I am. I'm jumping ahead. I'm doing a Christopher Nolan and bypassing basic time frames for dramatic purposes. So second half, because we have obviously not even touched on the big moment of the second half. Well, one of the big moments anyway. Molly Pike, one of the many young talents in this Southampton side, takes a pass, take about 100%. It's a brilliant touch on the edge of our box. So they're going for a counter. We've got the numbers in place. It's a great touch to get the ball past BT. Now, obviously, from our perspective, this is at the other end of the pitch. So depth perception's a bit odd. But I was watching it, and and it's one of those moments where sort of I regret my thoughts, and that's why they're crystallising in my mind, because I saw her take the ball, and my first thought was, she's taking it too wide. That was the first. It was in my head. Just that moment just came and thought, she's taking it too wide, and then at that moment I thought, I think she's going to go. I just one of those sort of moments is like I know Lottie accused me for jinxing, but it was sort of I realised I've tempted fate here internally, and the shot is a thing of beauty. She despite going wide, she manages to hook the ball back. It's a chip over Sabrina and into the back of the net, and I said I didn't feel angry for it. It was too good a shot not to be annoyed about, if that makes sense. It was that quality, and considering we've known what we've heard about Southampton and the team, I mean, you can see on the faces it was a beautiful moment, and the crowd absolutely adored it. What were your thoughts on it?
well, originally when I looked at it, I thought, well, when I was seeing it, I thought that Jen had like managed to get a foot on it, and that's what caused it to go wide.
Oh no, it was a touch pass.
Yeah, and then you look at the replay again and go, surely Jen's touched it, but no. And then it took, I think it was the third or fourth angle afterwards where they showed it. No, it didn't. Jen tried to dangle a leg out to try and stop that from happening, but she didn't get anything on it. But yeah, Molly Pike able to get that chip in. From a goalkeeper's perspective, that's one that always annoys you, because Sabrina's got the good positioning on it. But if you realise, maybe if she'd taken a step back before,
she jumps, she gets her arm in the air, she's trying to swat it out the air.
She's just under it, which makes it even more annoying. If she'd taken that step back, she might have been able to cling onto it or just get a hand on it or something. But that's all it takes is a couple of fingers, and that changes the direction of the ball, and maybe it hits the crossbar. But I'm taking nothing away from Molly Pike, because that was just absolutely superb. And to be honest, when I looked at her when she was playing Leicester, she didn't look that great. It looks like she's got a new lease of life at Southampton, and she feels so much better for it. She's in the under-23s at the moment, so there's an opportunity there to potentially be a lioness in the future, you'd hope. But again, it depends on what happens in the future. But to be fair, with a lot of the Southampton players you look at, I was really surprised how far they've developed. I'm always a champion of Kaya Rendell, who's the goalkeeper. She's a fantastic goalkeeper. How many saves did she make? That you're just
there were some good saves. Now we're going to get those in a minute, but my feeling of the goal is Sabrina had done enough to basically say to Molly, the only way you're scoring is if you're executing a perfect chip over my head that's going to drop at the last moment and sink into the back of the net. That's the only way that you're going to do it. And it's a classic case of, go on and have a go from there. And she did, and it was absolutely brilliant. So fair shouts to Molly Pike. Fabulous goal, fabulous moment for Southampton, taking the lead in the stadium with a good crowd, as we're going to get to in a minute. But it didn't last. Thankfully for the Arsenal, it didn't last at all. We were able to claw an equaliser back through Swede Leonardson-Mornham. She had a shot earlier, which great save from Kendall. But Arsenal cycled the ball around, and it was deflected. I think it was. You mentioned Hurty. It was a deflected effort, and it sort of bounced into Frida's path right in front of us, and I thought it was amazing how very quick she was to it, saw situation, and smashed it near post, but smashed it over Kendall into the roof of the net. And I think the overriding feeling was relief.
It does go back to some of the points we've made earlier in the season, though, that it takes us to go a goal down or to somehow score that first goal, and then all of a sudden we start playing. And it's still a worry for me, the fact that it does take us a while to get going. I know it happened last season a lot, that the first half we just essentially, let's get the first 45 minutes out of the way, and then in the second half we'll get that goal. And it is a bit of a worry, especially when you're playing the likes of your title rivals in City, United, Chelsea at the moment, because if you go 1-0 down, there's a chance you might not come back.
No, they were absolutely right. Luckily, as we'll get onto, we were on the. That didn't happen to us. In fact, went the other way completely. But a good finish from Frida, who we've said.
Oh yeah, that was she. You know what was great about that as well is that it's such a slim opportunity for her to rocket it straight past Aker and goal, and it. You know when Van Persie used to do that for the men. I know.
Yeah,
I hate doing anything like this.
I know.
Essentially, that's what Van Persie used to do, and she's done it. It was a superb rocket, and I think when she turned away and gave that huge roar towards the crowds.
Yeah, I love that. There's been a lot, and I just want to talk on to, because I was going to say, great that she got the goal, because we know her form hasn't been great at the start of the season. Looks like it's coming to the ball now, which is really good to see. But there's this beautiful moment when she ran away. It was only 50 seconds, but she gave a big sort of fist pump roar to our away fans. There's been a lot of talk about we want the players to celebrate with the fans, because we're giving it a lot, and I think the crowd did their best. Last night, there was some good chants going on. The red and white doing their best to lead the crowd. Some fans, Matt, were quite reluctant to join in. Despite my best efforts, Matt remained very much tight-lipped on the matter. But plenty of the fans were willing to muck in, and it was good to see the players recognise that. And it was good to see Frida give us a roar and a fist up, because she knows that meant a lot to us. So it's 1-1. Substitutes. This was when I mentioned earlier, Viv and Kari came on for Hertig and Velti. Great to see, obviously, the bigger squad. We can bring on Viv as a substitute, which is a fantastic position to be in. So the game's in the balance. I think it was about 30 or so minutes to go. Lloyd Smith had probably Southampton's best chance. Another good counter, a low cross. If she scores that, I think Southampton take home all the points. Instead, it's an awful miscue. Gets it horribly wrong. When we saw it I thought it was a corner. I thought it must have been a deflection off a defender. No, just a rancid miscue. Like McKay comes off for Lacasse, and we go to back three, the old tried and trusted from last season. Jonas trying to really push it down the width and we get the crosses in. Before we get to the goal itself, I just wanted to talk quickly about those sort of last 10 minutes. The pressure building up. Were you confident a goal was coming?
I'm going to be honest and think, if I thought a goal was coming, I thought it was going to be more likely that Southampton were going to get it, and that's nothing to do with how we played. Because to be honest, it was one of those games where you think we could have done a lot better here. But if anything was going to happen, I think it was going to be the last couple of minutes, because the amount of times that we were seeing Southampton players sort of on their knees trying to get a quick recovery break. I think it was. I think a few of their players actually ended up going down a couple of times.
There was a lot of players on the deck, and it was like 60 minutes in, 70 minutes in. Because we're playing at a higher level than maybe what they used to. No offense to the Championship, but obviously Arsenal playing.
But that just shows you what they've got to get used to, and and that's this is why was for me the biggest test of the season so far, because it's going away to a fairly packed stadium. Against the odds, you're fighting for that first spot between two other teams, and there's a chance for them to potentially qualify with this, and for them to be still in with it and actually get a draw, that would have been huge for them. it wouldn't have mattered
it
about
would
the
have been
penalty
huge.
shootout in the end. Whereas for us, I think if we'd won the penalty, I think we would have probably just about won the penalty shootout
Well,
if it would have. But that was the only reason I'm saying that is because I think Southampton would have been happy just with that point. I know they would have probably wanted the extra point just in case, but they've already played Bristol and taken that extra point, so they didn't need this one if needed to.
We should say that they have already had a penalty shootout in the Conti Cup and they have won it.
Yeah,
so that exactly. I felt confident a goal was coming. I'm not sure if that was confidence or hope because I really didn't want to hang around for a penalty shootout. I was saying this to Brian. Of all my time going to football matches, I've never been in a game that's gone to a penalty shootout, and I really didn't want this one to be the one. Considering the long drive home I had after the game, I wanted to get a decent night's sleep in, and I don't think I could handle the tension of Arsenal going to a penalty shootout against Southampton. And obviously, if you could do that, you lose a point effectively because we need to. Spurs are 6 points to the good. We need to match the total. We've got the derby, which is the next game, next round in the competition. So I was confident. I was seeing us do all the right things, get the ball wide, retain possession, keep the attacks going, keep the pressure on. There's a few moments, there's sort of a few flash moments. There's some silly offsides. I thought Viv was doing her best. There were some nice passes that almost came off but didn't. I thought Southampton were defending deep, they're defending one numbers because there's no extra time and they're looking at the clock and I think 85, 90, we're seconds away. If we hold out these last few minutes, penalty shootout, it's a 50-50. We could get an extra point here and it's a brilliant result. And to be fair, I think a penalty shootout would have been the fairest result on the game in the balance. I think Southampton had earned the right to take the game to penalties and get a bonus point out of the game. And as joyful as I am, the game went the way it did. I do have a bit of sympathy for Southampton. The game did go away. There was a winner, and it was our Super Swede, as I said earlier, Amanda Ilestedt. First goal for Arsenal, long awaited. We knew she was a prolific striker. Sorry, we knew she was a prolific defender after her golden boot attempt, golden boot campaign at the World Cup. Just the one goal short. And yes, it's freed with a corner. Whipped in. Amanda wins the header. I don't know what your sort of thoughts were at the time, Matt. It wasn't a clean header, and we've seen a few from the likes of Jen Beattie. But having watched the replays, it's a very well placed header. It's in the side netting, and I think you probably agree Arsenal have sort of got away with one tonight, or on the night rather.
Yeah, and you know what? I wasn't expecting it, but oddly enough, this is the first game I've worn my Amanda home shirt, which I actually got a couple of. When did I get it? Got it after the Villa game. So
you were repping Amanda on the night.
Yes, I was.
Oh, you kept that quiet.
And yeah, I actually really thought she deserved the amount. I can't remember how many times she's gone up for corners at the Emirates and she hasn't gotten anything.
No.
But it was nice that she was able to get something tonight, and that sets her on her way. And I remember you saying about players not being able to get the WSL goals sort of tally under the ropes. Like you talk about Lena Hurtig, and then eventually she does go and get one this season, and she's up and running now. It's just a case of once you get that first one, it's not a case of how many can you get. It's a case of right, okay, I've got something that I can sort of put aside and say thanks, not thanks. Almost like you've got a memory of that, and the photo of all the players celebrating with her. And you know what makes it even better, Adam?
What?
The way you celebrated that goal, because you looked so confused.
I did.
You had your hands on your head as if to say, "What's going on?" And then after, when the players were all surrounded, you're just up and down and celebrating, arms in the air.
Yes, I did lose myself a bit there. But the thing was, for us watching, because again, this was a goal that was our end of the pitch, so which was great. But the way the ball goes in, it's so soft. As I said, it's not like a thumping header, ripples the back of the net. It just sort of trickled in, and my instinct is that maybe the goalkeeper had sort of fumbled it in because she as great as she was great on the night, but the way she was sort of non-reactive to it. it had me a bit worried that there's been some sort of defensive calamity and there's been a mistake. But no, it's just actually, there's no much power on it, but it's just really well placed. It's just tucked in the far post. Even if the keeper does a full stretch leap, she's not getting there.
I think she wasn't expecting it to land where it did, and that's what
Yeah.
sort of put her off. Whereas I can't remember who they had on the back post, but they ended up in the net before the ball did, which
that was
a
the
bit
thing, actually.
surprising.
If there was a player on that far post, the old keep players on post. If there was a player on that far post, they would have kept it out, and Southampton would have taken the game to penalties. As it was, we were saved. We got away a bit earlier than we feared we were going to. Arsenal got the 3 points. They aren't first yet, so Spurs have got a improved goal difference in us. But obviously, we've got the derby at Meadow Park. That's the next game. Arsenal win that. They'll go up to 9. Well, hopefully a full win, not a penalty win, but a full win. That'll take them to 9 points. Spurs on 6. Southampton on 5. And then we go into the final round of fixtures. And I think pretty much if we beat Spurs by a decent amount, we should be all right, I think, to progress. We'll have one more game away at Reading. But yeah, the Spurs game is the big one. If you win that one, that's us in control going into the fast run of fixtures. A few things I wanted to end on.
Before you do that, sorry, Adam, just quickly, because of how tight this group is, that game is the week of the North London derby as well. So
yes, we got Spurs back.
That is going to be a hard one to. It's the Conti Cup one.
So so the game's at Meadow Park first midweek, and then we go to
Tottenham Stadium. So, and then on top of that, we will play Reading last, and Reading don't have anything to play for at the Majeski, or formerly known as Majeski, because it's
the stadium. Yes, it's not anymore. Select Car Leasing Stadium.
And then Tottenham play
Southampton.
Southampton at home, but
no, it's at St Mary's.
It's not at St Mary's because Southampton are playing that, and the men's team are playing that night, so they have to move to the Tottenham Stadium.
Oh, well, Wikipedia hasn't caught up then, because I was looking up all the permutations. It was saying St Mary's, and I thought, well, if Spurs have got to go to St Mary's to get a result, I would back Southampton every day of the week. I'd back Southampton to win that game. So that's a shame if that's the case. If there's a conflict with the men's team, but this, I suppose, is a trade-off that Southampton said they were going to basically play all their women's games at St Mary's. It's a shame it's not a home game. If it's a home game, I'd back them to win the game.
It is a stadium that they've played at before. It's just they haven't been. It's almost like their second home because it's only.
Sorry, we were discussing this the other day with your friend. I thought you said the Tottenham Stadium. No, the Totten Stadium. Right.
Totten is basically a small. I wouldn't class it as a village. I think it's more of a town, next to Southampton. It's just just down the road basically.
Cool. And
they've got a little stadium there. I think it's about
actually that might work to their advantage actually. If it's so if you think smaller ground, tighter, getting the fans in. I think it's like we'll be talking about certain other things, but like when Arsenal playing Man City. So one of the discussions I've had talking about last season is they think they probably the way Arsenal were at the time with the injuries and so forth. They benefited playing Man City at Meadow Park rather than at Emirates Stadium.
Yeah,
I think that might help Southampton in a weird way having Spurs there. If Southampton beat Spurs, I would back
go through.
I'd back second place, and there are obviously other group games going on. I would back them to be one of the best second place finishers. So yes, they all there for Southampton still. Should add on a final point for this. Record attendance, 13,000 fans made the trip to the game. A superb effort, and as much as we can maybe take some credit being away support for the game, it's been noted that obviously every time we go away to a game, a record attendance is achieved. We look at obviously Brighton, Leicester.
Yeah, thanks Brian for that update because he's been brilliant with it.
Yeah,
he's good exact numbers and everything.
Full credit to Southampton. This is on them. They've done a splendid job building up their support for the women's team. And I heard there was talk of some Arsenal fans being interspersed with the home team because they didn't get their tickets. They didn't get their tickets through the Arsenal website. I did see a few Arsenal shirts in there. But there was nowhere near the majority. That was a very, very scant minority because most of them were Southampton fans.
Did you see the little kid with the Tottenham shirt?
Yes, I did see the little kid with the Tottenham shirt.
You shouldn't have really mentioned it, but trying to provide can get something out of us. But everyone just sort of like
laughed it off.
Away. Yeah.
I think that just shows the brilliant support Southampton had managed to get for the women's team, and I don't think the team let them down. I think the team gave everything on the pitch, and I thought the fans did as well. And the fact the game was level at 90 minutes, the fans were, giving their all. They wanted that team to get over the line with a draw, and it would have been a brilliant draw for us. It would have been devastating for us, but it would have been brilliant for Southampton. And again, taking my Arsenal hat off and looking at this from a more whole women's football perspective, it would have been a brilliant result for the game. If Southampton could have held on for that draw, it would have been brilliant for them. Wasn't to be for them, but I do hope we see them again soon. Got a lot of love for that team in the Championship, so we'll be keeping an eye on them. But that's our Conti Cup review. There's other things to discuss, but that'll probably be for another pod, so do keep an eye out for that. What we are going to talk about instead is this. Actually, before we go to this weekend, just something very quick we're going to just tap into, because there was Tom Gary, we mentioned earlier, did a quick piece on Chelsea and their Champions League game. While we were playing in Southampton, Chelsea were playing their Champions League game against Paris FC, beat Paris FC 4-1, Sanko hat-trick. Well done to Chelsea. That's their first win of the campaign, up to 4 points on the table, just behind Aker, who are actually on 6. They actually beat Real Madrid, which was a bit of a shock. Fully expect Chelsea to go through, and obviously they are flying the flag solo for good old England. So, rivalries aside, best of luck to them. But one of the points in the piece was the fact that the attendance was about 3,000 to 4,000. There was actually a cap of 5,000 on the tickets for the game, just because there wasn't enough demand. Because I think when you go above 5,000, it becomes a bigger event, and you had to put the roadblocks in, you had to put more staff on, and because of the lack of demand in getting the tickets, it was capped at 5,000, and it would end up being about 3,700 or something like that, or 3,800, just under 4,000. Chelsea didn't really advertise this game, as maybe Arsenal have done in previous occasions. However, Arsenal, in their Champions League qualifiers, their audiences, maybe Barcelona aside, when it was a bit of a one-off game, but when we played the likes of FC Zurich, the likes of Lyon, the likes of I'm trying to think the other team was in our group that season. Juventus, of course.
Those audience, I think the lowest was 6,000, wasn't it? And that was for Zurich. So 6,000, 7,000, 8,000, I think it was.
So 6,000 to 8,000. So at the risk of trying to, not going to try and cause a hypocrisy, our numbers weren't great either. However, 3,000 for a Champions League tie, best team in England, playing at Stamford Bridge, one of the big stadiums in the country. It's not a good look for Chelsea, is it?
No, and this also isn't on them, because UEFA have revoked the Kings Meadow.
Yes, so we should. I just want to quickly add on that. Yes, there's a thing with Kings Meadow is they got an exception for the last 2 years, because Kings Meadow was not up to the Champions League standard, but UEFA passed exception for Chelsea to allow them to keep using Kings Meadow. One of the excuses actually being because of the takeover that was happening, they deemed that as a reason why they could justify keep playing Kings Meadow there. UEFA just basically said, no, come on guys, rules are rules. You've got to play ball. Your games have to be at Stamford Bridge. And it does feel like maybe you're suggesting that maybe Chelsea aren't ready for that, potentially. They'll be caught off guard by it.
Yeah, but I think a lot of fans are also complaining because other teams have smaller grounds than Kings Meadow. I don't know the capacity of Kings Meadow. It's
about 4,000. It's about 4,000. It's about the same as Meadow Park.
Okay, so I was going to say 5,000, but okay, 4,000 people. Okay, realistically, it's not suitable for Champions League. No. But then you look at the men's Champions League qualifiers. So I'll take a Northern Ireland team, Cliftonville, for example. They probably got around the same for their stadium. There's no guarantee that they're going to be able to fill that. Okay, the away fans might, but the home fans will fill in that because it's a Champions League. But it's questionable from everyone, really. I think everyone's going to have to look at themselves and ask themselves what can they do to fill out the stadium a little bit more. I know they've got Real Madrid coming. That will probably bring in a lot more fans.
Well, that is the tie of the round, isn't it? They've got Hacken and they've got Real Madrid to come. And as someone who, people may accuse me of trying to point score and get cheap digs in, I want to see these stadiums filled. I want to see really strong attendances. I want to see 20,000 at Stamford Bridge, at least, supporting, Chelsea trying to beat Real Madrid to get into the next round. Now, I respect that. It's not going to take time. It's going to take a lot of time. It took a lot of time for us. It took us, 2 seasons trying to get that consistent Champions League audience, and it built up to a crescendo to the Wolfsburg game, and it's going to take time for Chelsea. I think 3,000 is, I'll be brutally honest, is pretty pathetic. I think they should be looking to aim above 5,000, and I think based on Chelsea is one of the biggest clubs in London. Let's just be real here. Again, taking my Arsenal hat off to one side, Chelsea one of the biggest clubs in England. They're the most successful club in England, the biggest club in London, and they've got some of the best players in world football. They've got one of the best managers in world football, and they've got a very passionate fan base. I know, I hear them every day. There's no reason why that team cannot get in at least 6,000-7,000, double what they had for the next game, and build up that Stamford Bridge audience. And I think the club needs to do more to advertise it. They need to price it effectively and not charge some of the stupid prices we saw in the Liverpool game. They need to drop the prices, go big on the advertising, get the players involved, do what Arsenal did, the little videos, the pieces of the camera saying, thanks for getting your tickets in. We're at 5,000 or 6,000. Keep supporting the team. Funny, goofy videos like we had with that alphabet thing that is just filled with meme potential. Arsenal have shown the path. I was discussing it in the pub. I was saying we tread the path that others can follow. It's not hard. All Chelsea have to do is look what Arsenal did over the last 2 years and go, right, if we do that, we'll get 40,000 fans at Stamford Bridge in 2 years' time cheering Chelsea on in the Champions League, and that has to be the goal for them. So it is a disappointment. It's a disappointment from a women's football perspective. As much as an Arsenal fan, you can laugh and joke about it. Seriously, from a women's football perspective, looking at that, it's not a good look for the best team in the country only able to getting 3,000 fans. So hopefully Chelsea do some work on that and put some money in advertising and generate support, because that team, much as I hate them as an Arsenal fan, they deserve a proper Champions League audience. So hopefully they can do something about it. We're going to end by talking about...
Just before we go on to the West Ham, just on that alone, like my position on this is because I'm coming in from North, getting down to London, it's expensive. That means I also have to pay for a hotel. There are other people that can do that. There is certainly a fan base there for Chelsea, but it seems to be online. And if it's online only, I'm not trying to have a dig. It kind of questions, why are you not going to the games?
This is the point I was so tempted to make on Twitter, which is all the energy that you're exerting, criticizing, complaining, hurling this, whatever. Why are you behind your computer screen? Why aren't you at the game? You concentrate the energies into improving the audience of the team that you love and support positively.
Just to put this in perspective, Adam, we've got Dutch fans, we've got American fans, we've got fans from Germany as well, all over Europe, and
they come over.
They do. Take your friend Damien.
Damien.
Sorry,
Damien.
I do apologise. I keep on butchering his name. I do apologise.
They come from far and wide. Yeah.
He was at the Villa game, wasn't he? And came said hello to you and Lottie. And it's not like, I know it's quite expensive to go from America to the UK, but if you make a weekend of it, it's probably the best feeling. It's like again, go back to Andreas, who comes over from Germany. He makes a weekend out of it to come, and I know it's not available for everyone, but it's a good opportunity for people. But you gotta make you gotta make yourself put the effort in.
And again, it falls back to what is it you want from Chelsea. If you don't want these audiences, if you're not interested in turning up, if you're not interested in having big attendances, then you can't complain when people point at the fact that you're playing in a near empty stadium. You can't have it both ways. To finish, and we are going to go a bit more Arsenal orientated now. Arsenal have West Ham at the weekend at Meadow Park. I think apart from the Conti Cup, it's our last Meadow Park WSL game of the year, I believe. And then we've got the Conti Cup, and then it's Christmas time. Superb. So a quick chat, I think. We'll go into predictions in a minute, but just quickly go over the team. I think we're going to expect a bit of rotation back from the Conti Cup. We know Stino carrying a knock. Kim Little, I think, has had a minor hamstring, I was hearing. So hopefully she is on her way back. But I just want to quickly run by you. What do you reckon? How do you reckon we're going to line up for this one?
Manu in goal.
obviously.
I
next.
wouldn't be surprised if you see Katie at right back and Steph at left.
Ooh, okay.
I think because Amanda scored that goal, I think Amanda's probably earned the right to start alongside Lotta again, building that partnership up a little bit.
Absolutely. Building those connections up, building that relationship up. Fully agree with that.
I don't know. I think it's going to be Leah definitely playing. But then it's a case of who is going to be alongside her. And I think at this moment, I think it's so close between Katrina and Kyra. 2Ks there. I would probably go for Kyra because she's a bit more defensive. I know Katrina just likes to bomb forward a little bit more.
Do you think Katrina gets to who?
Katrina and Leah.
Lottie. Okay. Oh, so you're gonna mimic the same midfield from the Southampton game.
Yeah, and then I think Frieda's going to start in the attack midfielder role. Then left wing, I think Caitlin comes back in. If Stina's okay, I'll probably start Stina because she's on form at the moment. If not, Ilestedt comes in, and then on the right, I would probably say because Beth didn't have any game time, I imagine Beth's going to come in.
I think so too. I think unless there is any injury wobble or issue, I think it will be Mead on the right. I pretty much agree with you there. I think they will go back to sort of a safety of Catley left and Maritz. I think. Yeah, I think there is an argument that he might go McCabe right back, but I do think that limits McCabe. I know he wants to get her in the team because she's good and she's been on form, but having her right back, I think, does limit her. Agree with obviously the Lottie Amanda partnership. I think he'll stick with Palova and Kyra Cooney-Cross personally. I think Velty and Kim will be on the bench. I think we might see Kim, but I think he's in no rush to rush her back. He's in no rush to get back into team.
Well, Kim's also got an international breather, hasn't she? She's not playing anymore. So,
but the only risk is if she comes in cold for the Chelsea game. If that's her first game. Her first game back after the Man City game is the Chelsea game. That's quite the absence, but we'll see. I think it'll be Palova and Cooney-Cross. I don't think they've done anything to warrant being dropped, and I think this is a game against West Ham side that have got no wins in 5. They're a joint bottom in Bristol. I am setting us up for a fall here, I admit, but I think this is a game where they should be comfortable enough to play that position and continue to build that because they've been doing rather well there.
As long as Mackenzie Arnold doesn't have another wonder.
Well,
game.
There is that. I think Mead will. I think it will be a return of Mead and Ford, and I feel really bad for Lacasse because she's been brilliant. We love Lacasse; she's been amazing for us. But I just think with the international break coming up, I think having starting Mead will get a few more minutes, a few more legs, a few more legs in the minutes in the tank, and get a better fit for the England game. But I don't expect the last 90 minutes. I expect Lacasse to come on for her. I think Russo will start because the way that Jonas talking his press conference is talking about the need to find Russo in these scoring positions. And I think we talk about Lotta and Amanda and relationships. I think the same applies to Russo. I think this is going to be, we need to get the ball to Russo. I need to play him more in the team so the team is more in tune with her. And then if Stina's fit in the second half, I'll bring her on, either as a secondary striker or as a direct replacement, take her off and rest her. I think, though, that we have a team that is good enough to beat West Ham. Should have a shout out. Ex-Gooner Lisa Evans is returning for this one. So I hope we give her a good homecoming for her. She gave us many good years at Arsenal, including winning the league when she was converted into a right back, Katie McCabe style, to replace Alex Scott. So it'd be good to see her back at Meadow Park. But hopefully it's 3 points for Arsenal. Before we wrap up, just a quick time to go over the fixtures and maybe have a few quick discussion points on them and some predictions. First off is the 12:30 kickoff, Bristol City at home to Manchester United. I'm afraid I can't see anything other than a Man United win, and they're going to want to bounce back after what was a pretty poor derby performance. Did get the win, obviously, in the Conti Cup against Liverpool. Shout out to that amazing save the new keeper did. The name escapes me. Is that double
It's a
barrel.
double barreled, yeah. It's
Is it yeah,
Valis Jones or something like that.
something like that. Apologies, I got it wrong, but that was an amazing save to keep it at 1-0. They are travelling to Ashton Gate for Bristol City. Man United are going to win this, aren't they?
You would imagine so, yes.
Yeah. I'm going to go 3-1 Man United.
I think they're going to struggle a little bit. I'll go 2-0.
2-0. Okay. Arsenal West Ham. I'm just going to go 3-0. We're on a roll. We're beating Brighton. We've got the clean sheet. We've got our rhythm. I'll go 3-0 Arsenal.
I'm going to go 1-0.
Oh, right, great. It's just going to be a nerve shredder, isn't it? Thanks. That's exactly what I need. I'm going to be behind the West Ham dugout for that one. That's going to be a fun experience. Chelsea at home to Leicester. Again, these have been batterings. We had 9-0s in the past. I expect nothing less. I know that Leicester, showed a bit more bite when they played us. Unfortunately for them, it was only for 45 minutes. So I'm seeing another Chelsea battering here. I'm going 5-0 Chelsea.
I'm going to give it a bit closer. I think it's going to be 3-2 Chelsea.
Okay. Well, that'll be interesting. And if that happens, I think I'll be more disappointed because I'll have the illusion of hope. Liverpool Brighton. I think this should be at Printer Park. I think this will be a good game. I think Brighton have had a nightmare run of fixtures. The last 4 have been absolute, killers for them. Pretty much the last season top 4, and they got 4 points out of that, which is pretty good. I think this is a game they could win, but Liverpool have been good this season, so I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw.
You took the words right out of my mouth. Yeah, 1-1.
1-1 draw. Last 2 games up. Those last, we should add, that was a 2:00 game. This one's a 4:30 game. Aston Villa at home to Everton. Aston Villa seem to be on the up. Everton seem to be on the down. I'm going 2-1 Villa.
This is the news has just come out that Piemonte is actually going to miss this game because of misconduct. She's going to miss the next 3 games. So that's an even bigger blow. And the fact they didn't take anything against Bristol, they took a point. Was
that the Bristol game? Was it? Was it the Bristol game?
They failed to cling on to that win and got the point. So I was I think Villa are going to win. I think it's going to be 3-1.
Yeah. Last up, Man City at home to Tottenham Hotspur. This is the 6:45, the nightmare slot of the schedule. Tottenham have been good this season, but Man City look like they've sorted themselves out. They were brilliant in the first half. They were brilliant against Man United. Obviously, second half was a bit of a naff affair, but I thought in the first half they showed what they can be potentially when they get their act together. They played Man United for the park, and I know Spurs got a win here a few seasons ago, and it was all rather funny. I can't see Spurs getting anything in this one. I think Man City got their confidence back, so I'm going to call this one. I'm going to go ambitious. I'm going to go 4-1 Man City.
Oh, you know what? I was thinking about it. It would make sense for that front 4, to actually start getting some more goals. So I imagine all 4 of them are going to score, and I was going to go 4-0.
Shaw, Rords, Kelly.
Yeah.
Oh, just a quick shout out, actually. Should say for Man City before we wrap up. Conti Cup. If you haven't seen it, do keep an eye out for I can't pronounce her name. The Venezuelan player, Castellanos. Screamer against Leicester in the League Cup, but they obviously lost on penalties, puts them in a very precarious position in that Conti Cup group. Castellanos, superb goal in that game. I wonder if she'll get a game now in this particular, maybe come off the bench, maybe get the winner, who knows? But I'm thinking 4-1 to Man City, and you're going 4-0. So that's it. That's all the games for the weekend. Can't wait for them. Can't wait to go back to Meadow Park. Not long until Christmas. Not many games left at that wonderful stadium. So it should be a good one. Matt, I'm guessing you're not going to be there for that particular one, sadly.
No, it's again, it's travelling, isn't it? So it's a bit of a difficult one. But
no
I'll be at the Chelsea game.
Yep. Oh, the Emirates game. Yep. I'll be there too. I can't say I'm looking forward to it. But what will be. It's one of the games in the schedule. We've got to get out of the way, and then we've got Christmas to look forward to. But before we wrap up, just a quick shout out, Matt. Where can we find you on social media?
You can find me at MattLR28, or you can find us all at VAW Pod.
And if you want to follow me on Twitter, or X, formerly known as Twitter, and watch me get absolutely and rightly slated by Chelsea fans and Man United fans and all other rival fans as I try and sound clever and I'm not, you can follow me at Adam Salter 4. But that's the end of the show. Thank you very much for listening in, for tuning in. Follow, subscribe, like, etc. It does mean a lot. And we'll be back after the weekend. We'll hopefully review what was great and hopefully not what was not great. But until then, enjoy your weekend and up the Gunners.